Well, I think I'm going to tell you about the worst day of my, no, never mind. Neil Ross, who is speaking next, moved to the United States from London in 2012 and was appointed U.S. Program Director for Spiked at the beginning of 2014. Spiked is not a household name in the United States, so to introduce Neil, I must introduce his magazine as well. Spiked describes itself as Britain's first online-only current affairs mag, not magazine, and Spiked is spelled with a small s, and as a metaphorical missile against misanthropy. As that ballistic imagery suggests, it is a rhetorically rambunctious publication. Once you start quoting Spiked, it's a bit hard to stop. So, Spiked is a fan of reason, liberty, progress, economic growth, choice, conviction, and thought experiments about the future, and not so big on eco-miserableism, identikit politicians, nostalgia, dumbing down, and determinism. That bit about eco-miserableism probably explains most of why Spiked is here, but not everybody loves its unbridled thumb in the eye of the establishment character. So, we've been warned of the dangers of consorting with Spiked, which is a successor of another magazine, Living Marxism, that died of bankruptcy in 2000 after serving as the official journal of the British Revolutionary Communist Party. Now, I think it is safe to say that this is the first time NAS has stood shoulder to shoulder with a comrade of that pedigree. And no doubt this is the first time in the storied history of the American Enterprise Institute that its leader has shared such a platform. So let's enjoy the party. Neil, so far as I know, is not here to redeem the reputation of Stalin. He is instead the vanguard of an effort to bring Spiked stateside. He will advance Spike's agenda for free speech, freedom of the press, and robust freedom of ideas on campus, and help to celebrate this year's 800th anniversary of the Magna Carta. Neil also aims to increase Spike's coverage of U.S. affairs and to expand its readership. Before coming to Spiked, Neil traveled through the developing world. He worked as National Schools Coordinator for the UK-based charity World Right, that's W-R-I-T-E, an educational charity committed to global equality whose slogan is Ferraris for All. That roughly translates as the best for everyone and to hell with the limits that Western elites want to impose on the third world. In 2002, World Right organized a London conference titled Ditch the Sustainababble, the World Right Summit for Serious Development. In that spirit, please join me in giving a defiant welcome to Neil Ross.
Should I duck? Well, if one of life's lessons is not to follow Arthur Brooks in giving a speech, following Arthur Brooks and Herb London is most certainly one of life's lessons, but I shall give it a go. So, just to reiterate a little bit about what Peter said on Spiked. Spiked was formed in 2001 in London, and since our very first article, we've prided ourselves on our consistent support for human endeavor, economic growth, and progress. And that means we support intellectual risk-taking, we support freedom of speech, and we support excellence in education. As Peter says, we are a self-described metaphorical missile against misanthropy. I wish I'd come up with that myself. I didn't, but it certainly described Spiked very well. And one area where over the last 14 years we have consistently had to challenge what we feel is an underlying misanthropic message is in the rise of the sustainability movement. We provided critical coverage of the Johannesburg World Sustainability Development Conference in 2002. And in 2012, we critiqued the Rio +20 Higher Education Sustainability Initiative. In dozens of articles, before, since, and after, we have argued consistently against the new orthodoxy that says sustainability as an academic and practical theory for human progress is correct and beyond question. We disagree. And so, as you can imagine, we were thrilled when we heard that the National Association of Scholars were going to be writing a report questioning sustainability orthodoxy. And we're really honored to be given the opportunity to help them promote this really incredible and detailed report. I have had the privilege of reading it, and I do hope you'll all take the opportunity to do so. And I would just like to take this opportunity to congratulate Rochelle Peterson, Peter Wood, for this really incredibly detailed work. I'd also like to thank Ashley Thorne and the rest of the team at the National Association of Scholars for their outstanding work. Over the last few years, we've come to know and respect the National Association of Scholars for their unflinching commitment to the belief that academic freedom and academic excellence are worth striving towards. Like them, we still believe that campus, whether it be in the United States or in the UK or Europe, is a place where rigorous debate and scholarly endeavour are good things. At Spiked, we believe that Western Enlightenment ideals are still worth standing up for. And some of the main themes which presented themselves in this report really resonated with us as particularly important. And so I'd just like to take a brief look at 3 of the 10 recommendations that the report outlines, which we felt were of particular import. The first recommendation is their recommendation number 4, stop nudging. Leave students the space to make their own decisions. Over recent years, we've watched with alarm as the concept of nudging in all areas of life has grown, well beyond the college campus. In fact, back in 2010, we reported on the British government's formation of the rather Orwellian-sounding Behavioural Insight Team, or BIT. Now, the BIT's stated goal was to find, and I quote, intelligent ways to encourage, support, and enable people to make better choices for themselves. More big brother than big government, you might say. And here we really get to the crux of the problem with nudging and why we'll continue to fight against it. Nudge theory promotes the notion that as humans, we can be made to act through being scientifically managed. Now that's a pretty low outlook to have of humanity. Rather, we would much rather see humans as independent, rational, conscious agents making informed decisions on the back of rigorous public and private debate. If we accept nudging on the issue of sustainability on campus, we're at the same time accepting that the debate is not worth having. And we'd argue that the debate on this issue and on all others on campus is always worth having. The second recommendation which really resonated with us was their recommendation to cut the apocalyptic rhetoric. I know most of you probably haven't read Spiked, but I hope you do. And for any of you that have, you'll notice that we make it a continuous underlying theme to challenge the apocalyptic rhetoric and the misanthropy wherever it raises its ugly head. To us, there's nothing more anti-human and more likely to slow progress than the near ubiquitous notion on the liberal left, the new liberal, not the traditional liberal left, which says that anything man-made or done by mankind is damaging, is destructive, is going to lead to the end of Mother Nature, the environment, the earth. We have real problems with that. And so, whether it's from the spectacular, like landing a spaceship or a spacecraft on a comet hurtling through the solar system, to promoting advances in genetically modified organisms, advances in medicine, advances in agriculture, we will continue to argue that humans and humanity are wonderful and worth fighting for. And finally, perhaps the most important recommendation in our opinion was the recommendation number 1, create neutral ground. For Spiked, it is critically important that academia be an open, challenging, and engaging arena for debate and for disagreement. We're extremely uncomfortable with the fact that at an increasing number of colleges on both sides of the Atlantic, disagreement is actively discouraged. In some cases, we see academics or students who stray from the orthodoxy du jour climate change being a perfect example, being treated as pariahs at best or lunatics at worst. In this report, rather alarmingly, an event is described as what I will pronounce in my Scottish accent as Swarthmore College, but no doubt replayed to a greater or lesser extent across the land, where those who dare to stray from the approved message are metaphorically and sometimes physically shouted down. Like the National Association of Scholars, Spiked objects in the strongest possible terms to no platforming, to the rise of trigger warnings, and to the constant drive to make campus a safe space free from challenges, both physical and mental. When the National Association of Scholars finally settled on the title of this report, we were really happy to see they had used the word fundamentalism. Because like so many new orthodoxies today, the sustainability movement has at its core a fundamentalist outlook. An outlook that shuns debate, that cowers from criticism, and that seeks to blacklist, expel, or shun anyone inquisitive or brave enough to ask difficult questions. And it's that same fundamentalism that belies its mistrust in humanity, in rational thinking, and of true academic freedom. If we allow this culture of orthodoxy and fundamentalism to grow on campus, we in turn risk a wider societal problem in which our future leaders have lost the skills that make great, educated, and open minds. And now more than ever, on both sides of the Atlantic, we need free, engaged, and open minds to reinforce Western Enlightenment values. At Spiked, we will continue to fight back against higher education's new fundamentalism and against orthodoxies of all kinds wherever they rear their ugly heads. We'll encourage rigorous debate on campus and off, and to that end, we look forward to supporting the National Association of Scholars as they strive for true academic freedom and excellence. Thank you.